Hello, hello, hello. I am the Linux Mensch. Today, I thought I would take a third look at FreeBsd and update the system because the system hasn't been updated in 2 months. So, let's get to it. So I booted up to the login manager and I'm using QEMU with Virt Manager on top for my virtual machine application. And when I'm running FreeBsd and GhostBSD in Virt Manager, you have to have a secondary mouse. So one mouse will be applied to the virtual machine, and the other mouse will be applied to your bare metal computer. And I don't know why that's the case. It doesn't happen with my Debian or my Arch Linux installations or other distros based on those. It just happens with this BSDs. I don't know why. After you boot up into the machine, you won't be able to log in until you attach your secondary mouse to the virtual machine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, and you have to do this before you make the virtual machine full screen. Click on virtual machine, redirect USB device, and you can see here I have this Y-spring USB optical mouse. I'm going to leave that to use it for my bare metal computer. And then I have this PixArt USB optical mouse. I'm going to use this for my virtual machine. So I'm going to click it on. And now you see I can't use it to close. It won't work. So now I got to use the mouse from my bare metal computer to close this. And if I want to make it full screen, if I want to make the virtual machine full screen, I have to use the mouse that's attached to my bare metal computer. Or should I say the mouse that is dedicated to my bare metal computer to make it full screen. And now this is the mouse that is dedicated to my virtual machine. So I'm going to click it on. I'm going to put my password in. And let's see what, now I have the Cinnamon desktop installed on the system and the Awesome Window Manager. So let's see what we're going to be logging into. Let's go into the Awesome. It's just easier to use. So I'm going to type in my password and let's log into the Awesome Window Manager in FreeBsd. And let's open up a terminal. Xterm. And it's interesting to note that in my last video, when I updated my GhostBSD, it changed my default shell, the one that I had put in, from Zesh back to Fish, because Fish is the default shell that comes with GhostBSD. It'd be interesting to see if, when I update FreeBSD, if it's going to change my default shell to Bash, because Bash is the default shell that comes with FreeBSD. Hope that makes sense. Let's do an neofetch. Neofetch. There we are. So we're in FreeBSD. So this one doesn't have a GUI to do the update. So in my last video about updating GhostBSD, I kind of made the comparison. Well, I made the comparison that it's not exactly the same, but it's kind of similar. Comparing FreeBSD with GhostBSD, GhostBSD is built upon FreeBSD, but it has a lot more GUI. Has a GUI updater and a GUI package manager, and it's a lot more user-friendly, and it's easier to use. And it's kind of like comparing, and of course, with FreeBSD, you do everything in the terminal. So it's kind of like comparing Arch Linux with Manjaro or Endeavor OS, kind of. So GhostBSD is it's much easier to use and it's better for a new person. I'd say FreeBSD is probably better if you if you've installed Arch before and if you like to tinker around in the terminal. So let's clear the screen. I'm going to type in sudo FreeBsd -update fetch. Put my password in, and let's see what happens. Fetching 14 patches. I would have thought it would be more than that. It's applying the patches. I'm just going to pause this while it's doing it. Oh, it's done. So it gives you a list of patches that are being done, and you can just use your down arrow button or your J key to go down and look at them. Now I'm going to quit out of there. Oops. And it's also updating the kernel to 13.2 release 0.4. So now I'm going to clear the terminal. Now there's another command we can do is sudo FreeBsd version -k. And you can see we're on 13.2 release 2, but the kernel that's being updated is part 4. So we're going to have to do a reboot. So let's clear the screen. Let's type in sudo FreeBsd update install. So we're installing those security patches. Put my password in, and it's installing the updates. And that's done. That didn't take long at all. Now let's clear the screen. Now I'm going to update the apps. And actually, before I update the apps, I'm going to do this command again. Let's do that. And let's type in uname -r. So you can see we've downloaded the updated kernel and security patches. And the updated kernel is part 4, but we only have part 2 running. So I have to do a reboot. So I'm going to do sudo reboot. And now we're at the login screen. So I'm going to put my password in. Just going to log into the awesome window manager. And I'm going to open up a terminal. Let's make it a little larger. And let's type in that command again. Let's put the password in. So we can see part 4 is the updated kernel that was downloaded and installed. And let's make sure it's running. Whoops, I don't need to do that. I'm just going to do uname -r. And now we can see it's running. So we downloaded and installed the security patches and the updated kernel, and we rebooted, and we can see the updated kernel is running. Part 4. Now we have to upgrade the apps. So I'm going to clear the screen. I'm going to type in sudo pkg upgrade. Hit enter, put my password in, and now it's fetching and upgrading all the packages, all the apps. And it's asking me if I want to do it, and I think I can't hit the enter. You actually have to type in the Y for yes. And my Arch Linux systems and my Debian systems, you can just hit enter. But in FreeBsd, you have to type in, oh, and it's updating all this stuff. Oh, look. Let's see, number of packages to be installed, 24. Number of packages to be upgraded, 182. And number of packages to be reinstalled is 21. So again, proceed with this action. I don't think enter will work. You have to hit a Y. I'm going to hit the Y for yes, or a capital no for no. Hit the Y. And you can see already it's updating LibreOffice because I have LibreOffice installed. So now it's saying it's doing 3 out of 227. So what I'm going to do is pause the video and come back when this is done. Probably going to take about 10 minutes or 15 minutes. I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if it takes 15 minutes. Anyways, like I said, I'm going to pause the video and come back. So don't go away. Okay. So that took about maybe 10 minutes. I think it was a bit faster than updating GhostBSD. So both GhostBSD and FreeBSD haven't been updated for 2 months since September, early September. So I think it was a bit faster. This update reminds me of updating an Arch just the way it runs in the terminal and so forth. So what I'm going to do is let's close the terminal and let's open up Firefox and see if it was updated. I know it was, but here we are. And as you can see, this is the default Firefox, except for the dark theme. I haven't configured it, which I always do. And I don't think I have uBlock Origin installed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and install uBlock Origin. I'm going to go to Mozilla add-ons. I'm going to type in uBlock. Oh, there it is. And I'm going to install it. Add to Firefox. Add. Okay. And there we are. We've added uBlock Origin to Firefox. Let's just close it. Let's reopen it. And of course, like I said, Firefox is not normally when I do my installs for myself on video, I always change all the settings in Firefox. I harden it and so forth. I'm not going to do that today on this video because I just want to save time. I don't want the video to be too long. There you can see we have uBlock Origin installed. Now let's see what version of Firefox we're running. And we're running 1.19.0, which is the current version of Firefox. And let's log out. Let's log into the Cinnamon desktop. Put my password in. And now we're logging into the Cinnamon desktop. So FreeBsd doesn't come installed with its own desktop environment or window manager. You have to install what you want. So it's a lot like Arch Linux, except for the fact that there is an installer and you don't have to type in all the commands to do your install. And we have Librewolf installed. Now I installed that by, that didn't come installed. I installed it. Actually, all these apps I installed myself when I did my video. And I think my original FreeBsd video was back in July. I think in early July, I did my original FreeBsd video and I installed all these apps. I installed the Cinnamon desktop. I installed the awesome window manager. I installed Firefox and LibreOffice. Sorry. Yes, I installed the full suite of LibreOffice, which doesn't come installed in GhostBSD, but you can get it from their software manager. But in the terminal, so this, my FreeBSD install, if you watch it from July, it's very similar to Arch. Where only thing is that you use a GUI installer and you go through a GUI installation, but then at the end of the day, you have hardly anything installed. It's just a base install, and then you install all the apps, you do your upgrade, your updates, and all the apps in the terminal. So I installed the full LibreOffice suite. I installed Firefox. I installed PCMan FM for my file manager. I installed Xterm and Zesh. HTOP, let's see what I'm running at HTOP. Oh, running over a gig. That's kind of high. Let's go, and I installed Librewolf. Let's see what version we are running of Librewolf. So if you don't know, Librewolf is a hardened fork of Firefox. And let's make it full screen. There we go. Let's see what version we're running. And we're running 109. Don't know why that would be at 109. Seems kind of old. Anyways, we could go to the Librewolf website. Let's see what version. It should be the same as Firefox as far as the version number. They probably don't give you the version number here. And let's just pin that. I'm going to pin uBlock origin to the bar. Pin to toolbar. There we go. So it seems like this version of Librewolf is kind of behind. Now what I want to do is, let's open up another tab. Let's go to the Arch Linux website. I just want to see something. I'm going to go to the AUR. I'm going to type in Librewolf. There it is, Librewolf bin. Yeah, it's behind. So the Librewolf in the AUR, Arch Linux AUR, is up to date. Because well, what happens is that Firefox puts out a new release. Now, a lot of their releases are just security patches and stuff. And then, you know, once in a while, I don't know, I'm not sure if it's once a year or twice a year or whatever, they'll put out a release that has all kinds of new functionality in it. But the weekly releases are, you know, once a week, sometimes once every 2 weeks, they put out a release that's just security patches. But anyways, Firefox is at 119, and so is Librewolf in the Arch Linux AUR, the Arch user repository. But the Librewolf that's in here is only 109, so that's not good. They're behind. Anyways, I have in GhostBSD, I have Qtile installed. And I installed it from their package manager. I didn't install it in a terminal. And back in July, when I installed this FreeBsd distribution, I was installing all my apps in the terminal because there is no GUI. In FreeBsD, it doesn't have a GUI package manager. You just install things in the terminal like you would in pure Arch Linux. So like I said, when I was installing this FreeBsD back in early July, I, you know, tried to see if I could install a Qtile, and I couldn't get it. But I was able to install Qtile and GhostBSD through their GUI package manager. And I happened to notice that Qtile has a different name than it does in Arch Linux or Debian. So I'm going to try to see if I can install it. So let's go into Xterm. And let's just make it a little larger. Back in early July, when I tried to install Qtile in the terminal, I was trying to install it like this. Sudo pkg install Qtile. Because that's the way I would do it in Arch. And I put my password in, and there's no packages available. So I only installed the Awesome Window Manager and the Cinnamon Desktop. Now, when I installed GhostBSD, I installed all the packages. Well, I installed some packages in the terminal, but they also have a GUI package manager. So I went into the GUI package manager and I did a search and I found Qtile, so I installed it. So on my GhostBSD, I have Cinnamon Desktop, the Awesome Window Manager, and Qtile installed. And I just figured it wasn't available in FreeBSD, but then I realized today that GhostBSD is just an easier to use BSD that's built on top of FreeBSD. And they're using the same repo manager. So so the fact that I installed Qtile in GhostBSD, I should be able to install it in FreeBSD as well. So I went into the package manager of GhostBSD and I looked and I saw, I was able to install Qtile. Well, one, because I used the GUI package manager and did a search, but I realized it has a different name. And that's why I couldn't install it here. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to clear the screen and I'm going to do sudo pkg install py39 pi39 dash Qtile. I'm going to hit enter. And there it is. I'm going to click the small y because you can't hit enter, it won't work. There you go. And we're installing Qtile. And it's done. So let's close this and let's log out. Let's log out and let's log into Qtile. Let's put my password in and there we are. We are logged into the default Qtile. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to shut down and I'm going to go back into the awesome window manager. I'm going to put my password in. What I'm going to do is go into PCman FM and I'm going to go into Mensch and oh, I don't have an Arch folder here, but I do have a Qtile. Let's just copy this. Let's show hidden. Let's copy it into config. Oh, I already have it. How about that? Well, let's replace it. Let's paste it. Let's overwrite it. Let's overwrite it. Let's overwrite it. Let's overwrite it. I don't know why I have a Qtile folder in there because I wasn't able to install Qtile before because I wasn't typing in the word right. Okay. Now one more thing I want to do, and let's go back into there. Qtile. Let's just cd into config. Qtile. Let's ls it. Let's vim into config dash pi. And let's scan down. Oh, you know what? Let's do this. Wallpaper. And I want to take this Arch Linux wallpaper out. Type in cyan dark png. And let's save it. And let's close it. Let's log out of here. Let's go into Qtile. There we are. Now we're in Qtile. Opened up kind of slow. I don't know why. Let's do htop. Wow, we're running high. And there's another thing I got to fix in there. So I'm going to cd into .config /Qtile. I'm going to ls it, and I'm going to go into config pi. Vim config pi. And I'm going to change this p to a small p. I'm going to save the file. And there's something else I want to change. And you know what? I'm not going to change it here. Let's quit out of there. And let's ls it again. Let's clear the screen. Yeah, the resolution's off. Let's try cd .config Qtile. Let's ls it. Let's go into auto start. Let's x-render first. Let's try 1280 by 720. Let's do vim auto. Let's try 720. Let's get out of there. I never had this problem before. So let's close it. Let's get out of there. Let's go back in. And there we are. I fixed it. Oh, that's better. I guess that's why it was opening slow. So we have here, so now I have Cinnamon, the awesome window manager, and now I have Qtile. Let's put my password in. Ah, now that's better. So that's why it was opening slow, because it wasn't, for some reason, it wasn't jiving with the resolution. So let's get out of there. Oh, before I go out of there, let's go back in. Oh, that's better. Let's check out HTOP. There it is. Now that's a lot better. Running at, so this FreeBsd has 4 processors, 4 gigs of RAM, and when I installed it back in July, it automatically gave it 2 gig swap, which I can live with. And normally I don't use swap, but I can live with a 2 gig swap. But anyways, out of the 4 gigs of RAM, it's running at 391 megabytes of RAM. That's not bad. And now Qtile is working properly. So now I have Qtile installed in FreeBsd. In this video, I took a third look at FreeBsd, and I did a full update after not having updated it in 2 months. And I figured out how to install Qtile, and I worked out a few kinks in it. So I recommend that you take FreeBsd for a spin. I think it's a good distribution. And just a reminder that if you're going to install FreeBsd in Vert Manager, you're going to need a secondary mouse. I'm really impressed with FreeBsd. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I am the Linux Mensch.